everyone, and welcome to All About Kazakhstan podcast show. My name is Galman Lerik, and you are now on a series of podcasts in which we are talking about any hot and fresh topics happening in our country. In today's issue, we'll talk about huge fires and real hell happening in the Abay region that started on 8th of June. And we'll talk about who is to blame for the spread and the victims. Today our guests are Ali Musa and Arsen Tulibay, who have been following the actions of officials in Kazakhstan for a long time. And they will share their professional thoughts and guesses in these situations. Hello Ali, hello Arsen. Well, let's get started.
Hi everyone. The spread of the fire was rapid but could have been prevented if adequate measures and precautions had been taken. On June 8, trees caught fire on the territory of the Bakpais forestry in the Semey Warming Reserve. Residents of nearby areas were evacuated. Initially, the area was less than 3 hectares and then increased dramatically to 100 hectares. First Deputy Prime Minister Roman Skler said that government agencies failed to correctly assess the situation and allowed the fire to continue to grow. The next day, June 9, Semey introduced a local emergency mode of natural. On June 10, the Ministry of Emergency Situation reported that the bodies of 14 foresters had been found. On June 13, the body of tractor driver Sergei Arkhipov, who became the 15th victim of tragedy, was found. It is sad to see such destruction and loss, knowing that with proper planning and resource allocation, this disaster could have been mitigated or even completely avoided. It is critical to recognize the importance of effective fire management strategies. Regular monitoring and the maintenance of fire zones, including controlled arsons and fire breaks, can greatly reduce the risk of uncontrolled wildfires. This measure help control vegetation growth and eliminate potential fuel force, ultimately reducing the intensity and spread of fires. I believe that investing in an early warning system and building a robust network of fire watchtowers or surveillance technology can play a vital role in detecting and responding to fires and at their early stages. Timely intervention is critical to preventing wildfires from spreading quickly, allowing firefighters to contain the blaze before it becomes uncontrollable. Also, I think it's essential to educate and raise awareness among the local population about fire safety and responsible land use practices. Promoting a culture of fire prevention and training and firefighting techniques can empower people to take proactive action to protect their surroundings. Unfortunately, in the case of the fire in the Abay region, lack of preparedness and limited resources hampered the recovery efforts. Adequate funding, sufficient firefighting equipment, and training personnel are essential to effectively fight and contain wildfires. Governments and relevant authorities should prioritize allocating sufficient resources to fire prevention and the response efforts, recognizing the long-term cost savings benefits over the huge economic and environmental losses caused by uncontrolled fires.
And Arsen, what do you think about this situation?
Now the current world is very unstable, which has affected us as well. Pandemic, Turkish, Syrian earthquake, Abay fire. The reason for the spread is unpreparedness of the relevant origin, which was shown to me. I would not like to go too much into politics and the negative aspects, but I fully agree with the idea of political scientist Tosin Satbayev that it was necessary to ask for help from other countries on the second day. This would reduce the number of victims and injured at times. In my opinion, the situation is like this. Most likely, they did not request international assistance from us because everyone was afraid to tell their superiors that the situation was getting out of control. They talk all the time. Now we will put everything out. We will decide. They were afraid to publicly admit that the emergency has a large scale, and therefore were afraid to seek international help. After all, asking for help will mean that local structures are not able to solve the problem themselves. This is a tragedy, but I'm glad that our people did not remain indifferent, and everyone began to open collections, volunteer, help everyone who suffered.
Yeah, you're right.
For Kazakhstan, in my opinion, it is now important to mobilize the forces we have. I think it's stupid to send special equipment and rescuers to help the same Russia, where there are also a lot of fires, when the situation is very tense for us. I think if the fire would gain even greater proportions due to weather condition, increasing wind and other natural phenomena, then help from Central Asian countries may come to us. This practice is generally widespread because natural disasters themselves do not require special action from the authorities in the form of request for help. There is more bilateral cooperation and agreement when neighboring friendly countries themselves other assistance in certain main disaster. This cataclysm has become a great lesson for us to the fact that we have to do a lot of work. For example, football. In football, teams practice tactics and techniques to the ideal. So in our case, the Minister of Emergency Situations should make every effort to ensure that in such cases employees to everything promptly and competently.
And thank you, Arsen. I agree with your opinion, and also I agree with Ali's opinion, especially about the officials and the local situation in our country. And I think there is a real question in our country: who is to blame in this situation? And of course, I think you will agree, officials are to blame, not simple first responders. Some of them say goodbye to their lives due to oversight of officials, and this is tragic. But the most sad things is that all this could not have happened because the fire started just because of a lightning strike. If the quality of fire existing and infrastructure were appropriate, then the situation would not be so terrible. And this is all the fault of the corruption of officials. You agree? This money allocated for existing fire went into pockets of officials, and people's life cannot be returned. According to the head of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Kazakhstan, Marat Ahmedjanov, the journalists on the June 13, two criminal cases were opened on the fact fires in the Abay region. They are led by special prosecutors. At the same time, Yuri Ilyin, who was removed from the post of Minister for Emergency Situations, is also in the orbit of the criminal process because the main blame is also into him. The next day, Deputy Prosecutor General Jandos Umarliyev said that in addition to Ilyin, the charge of the Semey Orman Reserve, as well as the Akim of the Abay region, Nuran Urakhayev, and the ex-head of the East Kazakhstan region, Daniel Akhmetov, who led the region for 9 years. And for these 9 years, he didn't do nothing. Also, Deputy Irina Smirnova expressed her opinion about the situation. Now I will cite her words. The state allocates billions of funds, so where they spent? Now everyone should bear responsibility, from ministers and Akims to direct executors. And when they say that the foresters didn't have batteries and other things in them, then you should not be silent but react. Now everyone must be punished. Daniel Akhmetov himself must now silent but react. Say that he knew for all 9 years what was happening in this forest. And Ali, express your opinion.
So we'll continue. The former Akim of the East Kazakh region and the Akim of the Abay region bear considerable responsibility for the tragedy. It cannot be denied that their failure to fulfill their responsibilities and exercise effective leadership played another role in the devastating consequences that we are witnessing. The incompetence of the former Akim of the East Kazakhstan region, Daniel Akhmetov and Nurlan Uranhayev, and the lack of proper decision-making directly contributed to the rapid spread and uncontrollable nature of the fire. According to Uranhayev, local residents have been evacuated from dangerous areas. People are provided with food and everything necessary. According to the instruction of the President of Kazakhstan, the families of the victims will be provided with material and other assistance in full. But it could have done without the deaths, and the blame lies with Uranhayev and Akhmetov. Firstly, the regional Akim didn't implement an adequate firefighting strategy. They were to prioritize the regular monitoring and maintenance of fire zones, including measures such as controlled arson and fire rates. But no, corruption did its job, because all this did not exist. And the Akim completely forgot about it. Also, the lack of effective communication and coordination with local communities is also the responsibility of the Akim. Their responsibilities include raising public awareness of fire safety measures and responsible land use practice. By failing to engage and educate the communities, the Akim left them ignored and unable to protect themselves and the environment. Both Akims should be held accountable for their incompetence and negligence. Their actions or omissions have led to widespread destruction and loss. Urgent reforms are needed to ensure the well-being of the people of the region. Only through such measures can future tragedies be averted and the region able to recover from the devastation caused by this avoidable catastrophe.
Thank you, Ali. And I want to add, it's good that you mentioned the corruption, and because I want to say about videos with Orhanhayev's daughter, and that video were popular on TikTok and in the network. In this video, she was cheap, and as commentators say, with the money of the people. In the footage, Mariam Orhanhayeva demonstrates her luxurious lifestyle. She rides the expensive cars, wears Cartier bracelets and Hermes bags, and also relaxes in Courchevel. It's a sky resort in the France. Did you see that video on TikTok?
Yeah, I saw it.
And what you can say about the Mariam Orhanhayeva?
I think that I don't thought about it because just a girl that lives her lives and that I think that corruption is of course because of corruption.
And you think she doesn't even know about this situation?
Yeah, I think so.
No. It's like she's like innocent in this situation, but her father, the Nurlan Orhanhayev, firstly, for this situation, we should blame him. Do you think? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with it because I think that she lives for the money that her father that take from corruptions and those deals.
Yeah, I agree. and also Mariam studies at one of the leading universities in Moscow, GIMO. Of course, people are outraged. I'm not particularly happy with these videos too. I think this directly shows their attitude towards the country. The people suffer and everything is due to them. I quote the words of a commentator from TikTok. It was only the daughter of the one official who showed her wealth. Now imagine how much of this good all the children of other officials have. Well, here are the direct consequences of this. One of her expensive handbags for 60 million tenge. This money alone would be enough to prevent a fire from the very beginning. On June 11, the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, reprimanded Abay Nurlan, the regional Akim, for inefficient performance of his duties. The head of state also noted that Nurlan Orakhayev arrived rather late at the scene. According to Tokayev, there are the many omissions. Lack of efficiency, ownership led to this disaster. And you yourself was informed to reach the scene of incident rather late. Therefore, I am dissatisfied with the work of local executive bodies. I understand that the region is new. You are the new Akim. Solely for the reasons I respond to you. In principle, for such thing, you can immediately fire. So we still hope that the situation will not worsen and everything will be as good as possible. We can help people humanitarily as well as make donations or volunteer in case of emergency. Any action on the part of the people will show our unity and capacity, since officials cannot. And I think we should do all what we can do. Maybe be volunteer or donate the money. Did you donate the money, guys?
No, I didn't do it.
No.
You didn't, but you will do, yeah?
No.
Okay. And this brings us to the end of this episode. Thank to Ali Musa and Arsen Turbay for joining us during the heated discussion of the situation in Abay. We hope that our episode was useful for you and maybe someone learned something new and important for themselves. As always, thanks for listening to the channel all about Kazakhstan.
Thank you.
Thank you.